better than consciousness info. sa.neter TV7. You keep it hot 24/7. You got that light for 102. sa.neter TV2. Yeah.
You are now inside sa.neter Studios, the house of consciousness production, black news presentation.
Yeah. Peace and black power to the mighty Hebrew. Good to see you, brother. Man, man, what's going on, brother? You know what? The energy is crazy because I threw up a video yesterday with you and Reggie. I'm digging in the crates, and I threw up a video, and I'm watching the video, and damn near mostly everything you said in that video, you are a living example of it. You did it. I can't really hear you. Say something. I can't hear you. No volume. You probably got to go out and come back in. Say something. Yeah, go out and come back in. Yeah, we got the mighty Hebrew, man. He gonna let us know what's going on right now in Africa. His brother is traveling all through Africa, having a good time. You know, I wish I could do that, man. I got a family, you know. You got a family. You can't really make moves like that. You know, I got a fam. So I wish I was able to do that, though. I would love to experience that. Good morning, y'all. This is a morning show right quick because, you know, the mighty Hebrew, he's in Africa. I think it's like 5 o'clock p.m. right now where he's at. It's 5 o'clock, I think. sa.neter, I never got this many alerts from your channel. Wow, you getting the alerts now, brother? Yo, are you really getting the alerts? Because if that's the case, then that means they probably taking something off. They probably letting my shit come out. That's what's up. sa.neter, I never got this many alerts from your channel. Is it you or the algorithms? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Let's hope he can talk. Let's hear. Oh, man, I can't. Let me see. Make sure it's not me. Nah, I can't hear you, bro. You all the way in Africa, man. We can't hear you. We need to hear what's going on out there. You might have to use your phone. Try to use your phone. Yeah. While y'all can y'all thumb that video up? Can y'all hit the thumb up button? Hit that like button. This is an early morning show. I'm up here early for y'all, man. The mic. All right, I think this will work. Let's see.
Stop.
Now I hear you. There you go. Yes, sir.
Okay, damn.
Yeah.
Damn, you can hear me.
So what's going on, man? I threw up a video yesterday, and the energy just brings you right back. Everything you said in that video, you really manifested, brother. You lived it. You know.
Yeah,
Talk to us
absolutely.
about that.
Absolutely. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Giving all praise and honor to Yahweh, the supreme, intelligent, powerful, one of our forefathers. Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, those striving for righteousness, say, Shalom Aleichem. What's going on, Elder sa.neter? I've been seeing you popping all on YouTube right now. I'm watching.
Yeah, trying to get this work in right now. I can't wait to see you when you hit New York. You're supposed to be coming to New York soon.
We're going to talk about all that. Plus, I gave you the posters and all that. But I want to get straight to your first question. Yeah, that joint with me and Dr. Reggie, I think that was real powerful. It was like 27 minutes. I met him roughly around April 2015. That was a part of the Mighty Hebrew is Back. And
that was 10 years
what I'm
ago.
saying is, yeah. And everything I did on that piece, you know what I'm saying, it actually manifested. At one time, it was just an idea, it was a thought. When I first met you, remember I was going back and forth to Demona,
right?
You know what I mean, doing that type of work when I sat with Sarah Suit and Seti. Now I'm chilling in like 4 spots: Tanzania, Kenya, Uganda, and in Demona, and
now,
just building.
Now let me ask you, and be honest, man, not just to win a point. Do in Uganda, do they call themselves African, or what do they call themselves in Uganda? Do they go by the name they go by?
It all depends on who you're talking to, Sa. There are people in Africa, when they speak to us, they will say they're Africans. When they amongst themselves, like the locals, they don't say that to each other. They only identify themselves.
That's the point. That's the point.
Yeah,
and the reason why they say that is only because they think that's all we know. We see them as that. Africans.
That's a fact.
But when they're amongst their people, they go by their own names. What do they call themselves though in Uganda? What would they call themselves?
You got different names. You got all over it, all in East Africa. You got things like the Maasai. You got the Manyumbo tribe. You got the Kukula tribe. You got the Chaga tribe. You got the Party tribe. I mean, it's so many of them. You got the Haya tribe. And many of these tribes over here, all throughout East Africa, are related.
Now,
because when you start talking about the spread of the Bantu expansion, you see us spreading from East Africa to West Africa. So that's why when you hear a lot of the biologists speaking about we have that E1B1A haplomarker, we all share the same haplogroup or haplotype. When you look at the Tanzanian people, they look just like Black Americans because they're actually the same people. Those are the Bantu speaking people. I'm not talking about your Nohardic and your Cushite tribes. Yes, they will be considered geopolitically African. Yes, they're on the continent of Africa, but they're a totally different ethnic group from the Bantu speaking tribes, for which Black Americans are part.
If you was to make a distinction between us and the Africans, what would that be?
The distinction will only be well, like I said, you do have different ethnic groups in Africa, because when we understand Africa being a place where different nations in ancient times came and they amalgamated through the fusionism and created different ethnogenesis groups. So you do have those that are indigenous to Africa, and then you have those that are aboriginal to Africa, and then you have those that are immigrants that come into, and I'm speaking on the ground level. And through this, you have, like, for instance, Tanzania alone has 125 different tribes. 78% of them are Bantu in origin, and the others are Noatic and Cushitic. So when we study this, we can see through the Bantu expansion, this spreading of these Bantu tribes, which I interrelate and connect to the Assyrian invasion of the children of Israel running from out of northeastern Africa, now called the Levant, and pushing into East Africa, where already indigenous tribes were already there, and they started to shoot into Southern Africa, Central Africa, Western Africa, until you get these amalgamated tribes in Africa today, mainly focusing on West Africa, because that's where we came from. But yes, sa.neter, you're absolutely correct, Elder. If you're saying that the people in Africa sometimes call us Africans, that is true, because they're talking to us. And I do have to express this. The only people who give a global monopoly as it comes to being labeled by way of slavery and post-slavery is our people from the United States. Originally, Black was a term that was defining us, foundational Black Americans. And then as we started to travel more abroad, we started to identify everybody with the same skin color as us. But the reality is, you're correct, Sa. They all don't see us like that. I am on the ground in Africa. And that's why this tour that I'm coming up with, 25 major cities in the United States, the pros and cons on repatriating back to Africa. Nobody has ever came back from living in Africa for the years that I have been living, almost 5 years, and coming and giving y'all the pros and cons of repatriating back to Africa. There has been a romanticizing of Africa based on our pre and post-colonial upbringing, and not just colonial, but enslavement. So most of us think we go back to Africa, it's going to be peaches and cream. It's not that simple. There is an ethnogenesis that we can see amongst Black Americans. Our ethnogenesis, we are a new people. We are a new people, and certain things that we deal with as being a new people, we don't tolerate what they tolerate, and vice versa. And I think that has to be brought forth to the conscious community, and I'm here to bring it because I have the experience. I've been on the ground almost 5 years. I've been to different African countries, and I'm a Hebrew, and I'm saying that the Hebrews geopolitically would be considered African. Okay, we talk about Israel.
Hold on.
And when I say African,
Yeah.
I don't mean as an ethnic group. We know that there are different nations and tribes in Africa, but if we talk in geography, the flora and fauna of the Negev desert is the same flora and fauna of the Sahara desert.
All right, but hold on for 1 minute. Hold on. Slow down, Speedy. You're showing a lot of growth. You're showing a lot of growth right now. So now, do you see the African brothers and sisters that's out there where they have taken you in? They have accepted you. Do you now see them as your brothers and sisters, bro?
Let me make this clear. Nobody has to accept me.
They watching you.
Let me explain this to you. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad, the most honorable Elijah wrestling completeness within the Azuletic world of existence and pure will. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad said, what is the original date of the Asiatic black man? He said, there is no beginning and ending to the Asiatic black man, for he is older than the sun, moon, and stars. And within Hebrew cosmogenesis, we teach through the emanation of Adam HaKakma, or the original man that was etheric and being, right? That everything comes from us. We don't come from the universe. The universe comes from us. The black man is God. So to say all that, right, is to say they don't, how you don't accept God. You know what I mean? I always was. That's just like if you get kidnapped from your home, right? sa.neter, you get kidnapped from your home, then you wind up returning home. It's not about accepting. I'm here where I belong, from the great rivers of Egypt to Euphrates. That's what prophecy say in Genesis chapter 15, verse 18. The great river Euphrates and the rivers of Egypt is the white and blue Nile. You know them as the Gihon and the Pusan rivers in Genesis, or Bereshit chapter 2, verse 13. It's letting us know that our homeland is where Lake Victoria is at, from Uganda all the way to the Euphrates. So we talking about from East Africa all the way to Northeastern Africa, which is falsely called the Middle East, which was coined in 1945 by World War II correspondents. Where's the Middle West, the Middle South, the Middle North? These were terminologies that your Gentiles created to exit Africa away from its prophetic destiny. That's why when you talk to most people about Africa, they don't understand the prophetic destiny. What you're doing right now, sa.neter, Elder sa.neter, on social media is all prophetic. You helped to spark me to go to Africa, because there was a disillusionment when it came to what a Hebrew was. To me, it became like, when you hear of a Hebrew, they think it's just somebody on the street corner. They're not looking at a Hebrew being a doctor, a lawyer, a judge, a political activist, a scientist. They're not looking at a Hebrew like that. It's just a Hebrew, a high school dropout, somebody that's just reading some scripture, misinterpreting the scripture. So there had to be an example in the midst of the people. So that's what I did. That's why I'm in Africa, to fulfill that prophecy of us returning back to the land after the 400 years. So I'm already in the Holy Land. I told you, Israel to me is not that little piece of real estate. That's just a part of it. But if you sit in at Mount Kilimanjaro or Mount Meru, you already in the Holy Land, from the great river Egypt to the Euphrates. I'm already in the Holy Land right now. So we have to, the house of consciousness is measuring the other platforms' word. We not just over here talking about we love Africa. We in Africa building. That's the difference.
Okay.
I'm looking to what I just said. The house of I ain't say the mighty Hebrew, because the mighty Hebrew was born from out of the conscious mind of sa.neter when he gave me that name. So when you say the mighty Hebrew, you automatically are saying the house of consciousness, because it was a conscious. I know who you the mighty Hebrew, right?
So,
see that?
So now I got to harken back on the question. Do you see the African brothers and sisters as your brothers and sisters now?
Again, me and you always had these discussions.
Come on, brother. Are they your brother?
I'm about to tell you.
Go ahead.
The Shemitic tribes that reside in Africa that's of Hebrew origin, that's being labeled African, yes, they are my kinsmen and kinswomen. They're my brothers and sisters. But those that may be labeled African and they not of my people, I'm not saying in friendship. In friendship, they could be a brother and sister, but not a direct lineage of me. This is another thing I found out on the ground. Black Americans are the only people on the planet, when it comes to being labeled African, that holds the longest written genealogy on the planet when it comes to Black people. Everybody else is some written a little bit, but then it falls into the aura. So, because you got to remember, many people in Africa, they might have 3-4 names. They don't have no birth certificate. They don't have no written records. So when you talk about genealogical records, and then we look in the scripture and we see that our Hebrew ancestors were good in, genealogy, we're still presenting this characteristic amongst us, keeping the genealogical record. Say that, Elder. Okay, I think he just told me to keep speaking. I don't know. But what I'm saying to the family is, I'm coming October the 23rd. I leave. I'll be, United States the 28th, all the way to January 28th. So I'm be all over the country. And the title and discussion is the pros and cons as it pertains to repatriating back to Africa. The pros and cons of repatriating back to Africa. There are pros and there are cons. So we gotta be able to weigh this out, because we in the future, there was another discussion that was being spoken about. Sister Napasha Da was talking about it, Elder sa.neter. There were others that were on the panel, DJ Genesis, and they was talking about investing in Africa and in different parts, the world, maybe Latin America, different places like that. And I think that's an excellent idea, because when we start talking about globalization, and we start talking about the world powers at large, I see over here the Chinese, I see over here the East Indians, I see the Germans, I see the people from Finland, I see people of other ethnic backgrounds blood sucking the continent. They'll create these NGO businesses, right? And they'll send money back, to their native land. But when it comes to Black Americans, we are so fixated in just being in America solely that we don't think as international investors. We don't think like that. You there, Elder? I'm trying to see if Elder sa.neter, I don't think he got back yet. So what I'm saying is, we dealing with international investors. With that investment mind, so to say. And that's the way we have to start thinking to survive within the 21st century. We have to think like that, because we can see what's going on right now, even in the United States. Slowly but surely, certain rights are going to be taken from our people. So now it's time now, because we have knowledge of self, right? And if you're talking about us being the gods and goddesses on this planet, then we have to create the kingdom of God, right? We have to. That would only be in our nature to do so. So we can't no more rely on the power structure to save us. The same man that enslaved you, he's not going to give you the tools to save you. So it's very important for us to understand the dynamics of real discussion at a real roundtable about the condition of our people. Are you there, Elder sa.neter? I think he's still in the background. He's still, oh man, excuse me. I think he's still in the background, so I'm waiting for Elder sa.neter to get back. Can y'all hear me?
Nah, I'm right here. I'm right here. You know, you caught me early in the morning. I had to go in the bathroom and wash my
I was just making sure.
Wash my face.
Okay.
And now I'm making my coffee. So keep it going. I'm listening to you as you going.
Okay.
You woke me up earlier, brother.
Ask me. I see this evolutionary thing going on. That's one of the things that's like hotcakes right now. And it's very intelligent of you to throw in some old stuff that Minister Inky put up. I just seen you through the drawing up with Ali Muhammad, and you know, you got Uncle Chet on there. You know what I'm saying? We see, you know, the original OG from the Brother Ankh and Nikki Love show. See, I take you way back when it was Blog TV, Blog Talk. I know all them cats, you know, and I'm seeing them, you know, shout out to them.
Let me ask you this question, and then I'm gonna go and get my coffee.
Okay.
Do you think, and I already know the answer you're gonna give me, you're gonna say no, but I just want to get it on record. Do you think religion holds us back from uniting as brothers and sisters? Because look at when you gave the description, when you broke it down about who's your brother and who's not your brother, you are living on the continent of Africa amongst the Africans. You don't think you should see them brothers that's feeding you, that's allowing you into the hold on. Let me finish.
Go ahead.
You don't see brothers and sisters that's feeding you, that's allowing you interest into their women, because I know you got wives now, and they probably some African beautiful sisters out there. So you don't see them now as your brothers and sisters, brother? You answer that question. I'm going to get my coffee. I can hear you. I got Sister Genesis in the building. DJ.
I see her. That's a good question. It's a good question and a simple answer. When you're dealing with people on the continent, now for Black Americans, we think, quote unquote, as Pan-Africanists. The way they think on the continent is pan-tribalist. So we talking, shalom, sila, shalom. We talking self-preservation over here. So when you talk to people that understand themselves on the continent, the first thing that is important is themselves in their immediate family. And then from there, the community at large. If you talking to a Chaga, everything is going to be centralized amongst Chaga understanding of Tanzanian culture. The Chaga people are very nationalist. We talking on the ground in which you can see, okay? So they don't think in the way we think. And another thing that has to be clear, they're not giving us nothing over here. So let's make that clear. I'm gonna give you an analogy, right? Say if DJ Genesis was kidnapped when she was 5 years old, right? She was playing in the front, and some people came and they kidnapped her for 20 years. She come home after 20 years. She's now 30 years old. And she goes knock on the door. And her mother, after 20 years, see her. She's in front of the door. Oh, Monica, give her daughter a hug. Her daughter goes to try to step in. The mama stops, the Ima stops her. Give me $100 and such to enter into the home. You're looking like, but this is my home. Oh shit. You so happy to see your mother, you pay. Now you go in, y'all sitting down, y'all talking, you at home. You hungry, you go to the refrigerator. Your mama stop you. You got to give me such and such so you can eat. Everything you try to do in this house, you're paying. You're paying. Now, I thought when one is kidnapped and abused and they finally get away and they go home, there will be a door opening for the captive, for the kidnapped daughter or kidnapped son. I have to make corrections because we talking about the pros and cons of repatriating back to Africa. I live in Africa. And I'm telling you, the romanticizing of Africa is totally false. Okay? They do not give Black Americans anything. So let's make that clear. If you do not, we're talking the reality. Okay? We talking reality as a collective body politic. I've traveled to 17 African countries. I've dealt with repatriators all throughout Africa on the ground. And I'm a part of the most largest and longest repatriating movement on the planet. And that's the African Hebrew Israelites of Jerusalem that was founded by the late Ben Ami, founded by the late Prince Asiel, and founded by the late Prince Dr. Shaliach bin Yahuda. And I'm telling you, you have to have some type of money to deal with these people. That's just facts. So I have to make this clear. We're not just getting something. There is an exchange. But again, I'm saying, and we already put petitions in to the places we at, that I feel as though that Black Americans, they should get land for free. They should get visas for free, right? Because we talking about being kidnapped, right? Doesn't this make clear sense? You can't say we brothers in one breath or sisters in one breath, but then turn around and treat us like what they will call us in Swahili, the Mzungu. And somebody say, and Sola said something about, Sola Sapien said, that's a bad example. It's not a bad example. It's not a bad example. Again, I can use Elder sa.neter, for example. If he had a motorcycle, I steal his motorcycle. He find out that I steal his motorcycle. I say, well, he know me. I say, well, for you to get your motorcycle back, you got to pay me dust, and dust. But I stole his motorcycle. That's like me kidnapping you in your own house and putting you in the basement, right? And then years later, y'all rise up and overthrow me, right? But then now I got to give you some type of compensation. But in fact, I'm the one that stole your house and threw you in the basement. The point that I'm saying, right? The point that I'm saying, and once somebody says self-proclaimed princes, I never appointed myself a prince. Prince Asiel made me a prince. So that's make that clear. You never heard me use the term Nasi or prince until I was appointed a prince. And you can actually go on Global Media Inc. and see the whole ceremony. But back to my point, right? What I'm saying is I'm on the ground. I do business in Africa. I have properties and investments in Africa. So when somebody try to tell me about Africa and they ain't been on the ground like that, and they don't have the expertise, and I don't see nothing that they build. And look, people done been over here. Give a shout out to dudes like Mikael Ben Or, one of the best herbalists, in the nation of Israel, the semi-basketball champion that played for Japan, Brian Waters, been to my compound. Give a shout out to Sister Kafiria, who is a part of Hebrews in the Hood with Mikael. Mikael that's in the wheelchair. Give a shout out to Sam Kofa that be on the House of Consciousness. He came here directly and seen me. You see what I'm saying? So we talking about work. A man can only be judged by his work's worth. We can no longer judge through wishful thinking.
All right, time out, brother. Let's get back to what you was talking about the importance of repatriation, the importance of, finding our way back to Africa. Sister Genesis was on last week, and she was up here fighting for Africa, saying similar to the same thing you were saying. And I'm glad you're here, Genesis. The sister backed out of the debate, Genesis. She backed out.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm glad you're here. So,
I have a question too, and about, because I think it'll make a good point. We had a conversation, Mighty Hebrew, about how Chinese people will go as far as to marry African women just to get land over there. So you have China people and it's not for love. It's not like they fell in love with this black woman and da 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 da. It's specifically for land grab. And that's how out cold they're being with their politics and their global wanting to like acquire resources. So I don't understand why we're like, well, if we go over there, that's acting just like the white man and this, that, the other. And I'm like, well, so that's acting like the white man to go over there. But the white man and the Chinese man, the white man, the red man, and everybody else is going over there and going as far as even just marrying the families and having kids and stuff. And there's no love. So let's go.
That's a fact what you're saying, and give a shout out to the president of Tanzania. If y'all not keeping up with the law, July 25th, 2025, they changed the law for foreigners in Tanzania. See, I'm talking facts on the ground that, back then foreigners can just come over and open up business and all. They stopped all that because the Tanzanian government, they could easily see and understand that many of the Chinese, they were marrying Tanzanian women, because once you get married to a local, then you can own property through marriage. It didn't have nothing to do with love or anything of that nature. What I'm saying is I'm on the ground, and what I'm seeing is foreigners all throughout Africa, because this is what they do. The same thing that you see in New York City and in Philly, like you will see Chinese people that come, they'll buy a little apartment upstairs, downstairs, it'll be like a Chinese store, and then they create a kitty and start bringing Chinese people from China to the United States where they located, and then they start spreading these Chinese stores all throughout the city. That's the same shit they doing over here. What they do is they get a certain area in Africa. It could be a Moshi, it can be a Morogoro, it can be in Dodoma, wherever, and they'll start building in that area. And from there, now you got a whole East Indian neighborhood. You got a whole Chinese neighborhood. You got a whole Finland neighborhood. This is in Africa. This is in Africa. What do you
think about the comment?
Let me just finish this one part. So what I'm saying is Black Americans do need to invest in Africa first for their interests as a people, first for their interests. And then from there, degrade a body in Africa. The problem with Black Americans is that we're too busy trying to unite with everybody, when in fact, we're not even united as a people amongst our new ethnogenesis. A Rastafarian told me in Tanzania, he said, Prince, you know why they don't like us here? I said, why? He said, because we love them first. Meaning that everything we get involved in, we're the best Pan-Africanists. If we adopted Islam, we made it better. If we adopted Judaism, Christianity, we made it better. If we adopted the Kemetic school of thought, anything that we applied within this spiritual, physical, psychological struggle in the United States, we made it better. Okay? We are the best. When you come to Africa, we're not trying to imitate them. They're trying to imitate Black Americans. I am telling you facts that is on the ground. When you talk about Afrobeat music, and it's created by a man by the name of Fela from Nigeria in 1965, who was influenced by the Black Power movement in the United States, the Civil Rights movement, funk music and jazz, brought it back to Nigeria, mixed it with Yoruba. Now you got Afrobeat. When you come to Africa, you the nigga. You Black America, they're imitating you. They're imitating you, whether it's Tupac, Biggie Smalls, Black American culture. And that's where the power comes in at. That's why hip hop had to be destroyed, because hip hop started to influence Africa since 1983 in Senegal and South Africa. You see in this spread. This was the first bridge we started to create. Now we on the ground. Give a shout out to Nas' wife, Khalees, making shit happen over there in Kenya. I'm moving with the real movers and shakers. I'm not sitting on this joint. This is a house of consciousness invention. I'm not running around here. Yeah, go ahead, Elder.
Yeah, Khalees. Oh my God, she's doing her thing.
Khalees doing her thing,
Africa.
She's doing her thing, dog.
She is gorgeous. She is fine as hell right now, doing her thing out there, bro. For real.
Yeah.
You checking it out. I be seeing her, doing her farming and all that stuff, bro. Right. So what is
yo, I gotta say this. Oh, stop. I gotta say this. Yo, Solar, you keep saying it sounds like you living amongst the enemy. See, I want to make it clear. I gotta make it clear. You know you live amongst the enemy every day. You want me to tell you who that is?
There you go. That's right, here.
So you listen, a real person with sound mind and reason, naturally you're not going to agree with everything a person say. We're not robots. The old saying goes, eat the steak and spit out the bone. Naturally, you're not going to agree with everything I say. That's natural. That's human nature and human condition. But we talking about a better day, a brighter tomorrow. We can learn from our enemy. That's the problem. You think because you have an enemy, you can't learn from that enemy. All these nations on the planet is building off of the back of Africa. I'm not one of them Hebrews that say Hebrews don't have nothing to do with Africa. I don't subscribe to the New Testament. I don't acknowledge the 12 tribe chart. So you got to know who you're dealing with.
Right.
We're not a monolith. We're not a monolith. But no nation on the planet is a monolith. When you go to the Chinese people, they all don't believe the same thing, but they got one common thing. Nationalistically, how do we get this money in Africa? Everybody on the planet is getting their money, but when they talk that nigga, oh, we ain't got nothing over there. We ain't got nothing over there. We don't have nothing to do with them over there. We got everything to do. Listen, you didn't know this when they took the gods and goddesses from Africa, it shut the light of Africa down. And we started to build hell in the United States and the heaven for the white man. Y'all didn't peep that. After all the historical masturbation, at the end of the day, they took the best. They took the cream from out of Africa. That's why Africa can't build no more, because we here. So now it's time for you to get out your London flat, out your New York penthouse, your Philly penthouse, and come over here and help the mighty Hebrew build. Help those that came before me to build. Those that are coming after me to build. Build house of consciousness over here in Africa. You there, Elder Sa.neter?
I hear you. I hear you.
Build the house of consciousness in Africa. No more talk. No more talk. I'm not with the talking no more. I want to know what you produce, what you believe.
Check this out, mighty Hebrew.
Yes,
what
sir.
What if you build the house of consciousness over there where you at?
That's my point.
I'm talking about that. Listen to me. I'm talking about sit down, do interviews with the Africans and go in.
Right. And even have sit-downs with Africans with other Africans. Right. Have sit-downs with Africans and other Africans and they just be building. Same thing. Yeah, absolutely. I'm with that. That'll be dope. Can you hear me?
I'm listening.
Oh, yeah, that'll be dope. So all I'm saying is that, and I do want to get into this evolution thing because that's what's cooking right now. That's the cooker. That's the cooker. You guys gonna let that slide. You guys gonna let that slide. What?
You sure you want to touch that? That's out your league.
That's light work, man.
Oh man,
that's light work.
Let's go, brother. Let's go.
How you cut down the tree? How do you, Elder Sa.neter, how do you cut down the tree to make it from stop growing?
The roots. You got to cut off the roots.
All right. I don't have to get into Charles Darwin, which he.
So are you rolling with Inky? Are you rolling with Inky or?
I'm rolling with me. I'm rolling with me.
No, I'm talking about as far as information.
I'm about to tell you. When I say, you're going to know exactly what I'm saying.
Go ahead,
right?
go ahead.
I asked you the question, Zaquan Elder, ancient one. I said, if you want to make a tree from stop growing, what do? You said you cut it from the root, right? See, the philosophizing about what Charles Darwin believed is irrelevant to the foundation. In the inception of the foundation, what was the thought process of bringing this understanding of evolution? What is the foundation of science? Was it formed from a wicked white supremacist mind by the way of pseudoism? They're the first pseudos, because when you're talking science, it came from a pseudo thought. And then as it developed over the years, it took its bruises or bumps or curves. But the inception of it was from the mind of a devil. So if we understand that, right, we already destroyed the root. My thing is this: we challenge religion. We challenge that on a daily basis. We challenge it. But why are we quiet about challenging the scientific so-called data that has been presented to us? How did we go from being from gods to having a common ancestor?
Bring it out, brother. Bring it out.
The most we gods, man. You want to know? I know the common ancestor, and I challenge everybody.
Be careful. Be careful. Cedric is in here. Be careful.
That's fine. That's fine.
He's one of the pseudo slayers. Be careful.
That's fine. Listen to the difference. I'm not talking about going outside yourself. I'm saying that the black man is God. So the common ancestor wouldn't be some type of primate of 7.2 million years ago that we have no bones, no nothing of this theoretical understanding. Woo! But the common ancestor, look at the common ancestor for man and ape is the mind. It's the mind. It's the mind. So when we get into that retrospect, because remember, the universe don't come from us. Excuse me, we don't come from the universe. The universe come from us. That original mind that the most honorable Elijah Muhammad talked about 98 trillion years ago, spinning in as an atom, right, in triple stages of darkness, right? We had the mighty Hebrews say 311 trillion, 40 billion years ago, and there was a spark that was thought becoming made manifested in physical form through emanation. The common ancestor would be the mind. And then as we start to see that etheric nature started to materialize more and more into a bodily element, then the separation occurred as the development proceeded the process within infinite cycles and seasons, man. There is no beginning or ending in me. Go ahead, the white man controls the world through time and space with dates and I am the original man. And when you talk about and let's prove that the black man is God real quick, because Cedric, he laughed, right? Watch this. Now I'm gonna put you in the hot seat, Cedric. Show me a community, right? Listen, show me a community of atheists, of black people that just believe that there was no type of power within themselves or outside of themselves that produce a productive society. I'm not even going to use I'm going to use the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. Give me a leader right now in the midst of the atheist world that resurrected God in human form. Took them off the street, took them off of drugs, creating their own businesses, creating their own mom and pop. I will destroy you, dog. You come on this joint and you talk about evolution as if that was the beacon or catalyst to free us as a people. You took on the white man's dogma because he couldn't see himself as God. So he had to create a concept in the theory that there was no God. You want to know why? Because there is no God when the black man don't understand he's God. Anybody can say, oh, there's no God. But once the black man resurrect as the phoenix from the ashes, he recognized that he been looking at God every time he been looking in the mirror. So we ain't talking no spookism. We talking about building. And I'm not talking about you using other white people that built their heaven and our demise. I'm talking about, where was there a group of black intellectuals that did not believe in the creator and they start building? You don't find that. You only see those that the most honorable, and I don't care about their beliefs. I'm talking about what they build economically. Who had an economic front like Yahweh ben Yahweh? Who had an economic front like Ben Ami? Who had an economic front like Elijah Muhammad? Who had an economic front like Prophet William? These people acknowledge the God within them, and they have morals and principles and values, and they were able to build. I am talking about things that are practical and will work for us. And when you talk about slavery, if our people wouldn't have believed in the concept of a higher power, they would have been destroyed as a people. Even scientists, I mean, you bring up science, right? Even scientists know through faith, it causes a man to live. Why do you think people that believe in faith live longer than people that don't believe in nothing? That don't believe in nothing. So my whole thing is this. That's examine your works measurement. Show me where you're building at. Fuck the philosophizing. I can show you what I'm building. Show me what you building. Everybody talk about Africa. This is a Hebrew. I'm in Africa. I'm building. I'm one of the originals. While you was doing something, I was already building one. I'm an OG in the House of Consciousness. So you can't come to me and present every argument that you put. We've been arguing that shit 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Now we in the season of show me that your belief can build. Show me.
The Adjustment Bureau. We make Negroes adjust.
The late Prince Asiel, who was a close friend of Elder sa.neter. Prince Asiel said, Prince Charlandine, mighty Hebrew, don't argue with them. Just say this. Within 5 years, let's come to the round table. Show me what you built, and I'll show you what I built. And then from there, we build.
There you go. There you go.
This is the House of Consciousness, though. This is what sa.neter know me since I was a young man, know my children.
That's right.
His wife know me personally. We're not talking about, and not personally like that. So let's not chop it all up. Right, personally, meaning he took care of my children. Shout out to Sister Cynthia. I met Nepal through sa.neter personally in Chicago.
That's right.
We're not sitting up here just talking on this joint. What I'm saying is your evolutionary beliefs. Show me, how did you go into the community? Like, shout out to, what's the brother you just interviewed that got the school out in New York, out in Brooklyn? What's his name? Q Butter. That's my homie. Shout out to Q Butter. He keep in contact with me on social media. Q Butter is building. Now, let's keep it a beam. I will use the kingdom of Yah and Demona, because I'm a part of that community, and use that as the catalyst against whatever Cedric built, and I bet y'all destroy it. Everything he gonna be coming is theoretical. He gonna be like, well, you know, in a scientific, well, man, fuck all that. What are we building scientifically now?
My Hebrew.
Show me how you irrigate land. How do you build a theocratic government that will show, listen, man, we got over 3,500 repatriated just in Demona alone. We've born over 1,400 of our own children without using any type of prescribed drugs from the so-called white man. We have our own farms. We got our own irrigation centers, man. We got our own birthing centers. We got our own schools, yo. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? You really want to build. And don't make me go right now to the scholars. Don't make me go to Obanga. Don't make me go to Diop or Juke. Don't make me go to Yochanan. Don't make me go to Clark or all of those Bear Single. You ain't know I was an understudy of the late Dr. Shakamusha Shingo. You didn't know that I knew Henry Bernardo from the Black Star, the late Henry Bernardo. sa.neter know him from the Black Star newspaper. I was a contributing columnist for that news. Who you think you talking to? Right? Right? Inky know me personally. Last time I seen Minister Inky was at Black and Nobel Books in North Philly. You can't fuck with me, Cedric. You thought because you could talk scientifically, sa.neter setting you up, dog. sa.neter setting you up to get killed in this joint. That's what he doing to you. Ain't know that? You know that no Hebrew can fuck with me, man. I'll destroy you, dog. Why you think he called me the mighty Hebrew? Because that's what I do. I sit there and I watch y'all for months at a time. What you think I ain't know about evolution? What's the world name? Watch this. Is Charles Darwin the founder of evolution? Huh? Watch this. You want me to show you something about Diop real quick? Huh? Because Inky said they scared of Diop. You know, sa.neter say you got to have primary sources when you're dealing with the house of consciousness, right? So you know I come from that different cloth. You know, we come off the dome, the Asiatic black man being Asia is the body, Attic is the mind. We talking about symbolism, and we ain't talking about what is literal. That's why I can tell you I'm a law embodied in human form. I'm God, dog. And I don't mean no crazy shit like, you know, Nature Boy in the 3D. I'm talking about our nature. Our nature. Our nature is the build. So that's real quick. I just want to show you something real quick. Is it okay, real quick, Elder, I quote something from sa.neter Diop? Is that okay?
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Because I just want to make sure before I continue on, right? So let's go into sa.neter Diop's book, right? Pre-colonial Black Africa on page 233. I mean, y'all all got the book, right? Pre-colonial Black Africa by sa.neter Diop. He says this, according to El Fattah. Stop. You know who El Fattah was, right? Tariq El Fattah. He was a citizen in Timbuktu in 1652. You should know that, right? He wrote in Arabic because during the Dark Age time, Arabic was the language of diplomacy. He wrote something called the History of the Sudan. This is what an eyewitness in 1652 says in Timbuktu, what he's seen about the Hebrews. Listen, according to Tariq El Fattah, an Israelite minority also lived in the bend of the Niger region in Tundorma and had made a speciality of cultivating vegetables watered with fresh well water instead of river water. So we have an eyewitness, right, that seen Israelites in the Niger bend. We talking primary, right? 1652. And we see sa.neter Diop saying that. And I know y'all love Dr. John Henry Clark. Can I continue on? If it's okay with you?
Go ahead.
Okay, so we love Dr. John Henry Clark because Deuteronomy chapter 19 says, verse 15, one witness is not enough. You can't be your own witness. So we talk about 2 to 3 witnesses, right? Okay, so let's go to Dr. John Henry Clark in the introduction, the Alfred J. Butler's book, The Arab Conquest of Egypt in the Last 30 Years of the Roman Dominion. Now we know the late Dr. John Henry Clark wrote the introduction, right? This is what he says. Roman exploitation, taxation, and ruthlessness caused a lot of the original Africans in North Africa to move further into the body of Africa. The question is often asked, what happened to North Africa's Black population? This is part of the answer. So we got Dr. John Henry Clark talking about the reason why you don't see the original African population in North Africa because of Roman exploitation and taxation coming down, causing these Africans to be driven further south, deep into the body of Africa. Now, one might say, well, mighty Hebrew, he never said where Africans these were. You're absolutely correct. So let's find out in the book, Notes for an African World Revolution, Africans at the Crossroads on page 276, written by Dr. John Henry Clark. He says this. There is a need now to study the migration of the Israelites or Jews after 70 AD, when the Romans destroyed their temples and started the dispersal of the Israelites or Jews of that day. Where indeed did they go? there's some evidence that some of them migrated south into the body of Africa. Oh, so now I just showed you what Sheikh Auntie Drew just said in pre-colonial Africa, that there was an Israelite minority that lived in the Niger. Then I turned around and showed you where Dr. John Herbert Clark said that Roman exploitation and taxation caused many of these North Africans to be driven deep into the body of Africa. Then I turned around and showed you in the notes for African World Revolution, Africans at the Crossroads, on page 276, we see Dr. John Herbert Clark saying that the Israelites migrated into Africa, man. Then I ain't even get into my man Dr. Yosef A.A. Ben Yochanan on page 76, and African Origins of the Major Western Religions. He talks about the Cerinthian War, meaning Dr. Yosef A.A. Ben Yochanan on 115 CE. He's breaking down how these Hebrews, original Negroes, migrated deep into the body of Africa and became new ethnogenesis groups like the Ashanti, the Fulani, the Fanti, the Yoruba, the Akan. This is what he says out of his own mouth. I'll cook you, man. I'll cook you. And I've been on the ground in West Africa. I sat in the Igbo land in Lagos, in Nigeria. I've been to Ghana. I've been to Uganda. I've been to Kenya and all these different places. And there are Hebrews over here. So we know that there are Hebrews in East Africa and in West Africa. It is possible that Hebrews came on the transatlantic slave ship and East African slave ships. And I'm not saying all black people that came, or so-called black people that came into the Western Hemisphere, are Hebrews. I'm saying that Hebrews were in the midst of them people. I'm not one of them Hebrews that would be like, oh, all the slaves that came over were Hebrews. I'm not one of them Hebrews. There were different ethnic tribes that came on, and there was remnants of Hebrew people that came on. So my three witnesses is Dr. Ben, Sheikh Auntie Drew, and Dr. John Herbert Clark. You know who Dr. John Herbert Clark is? The granddaddy of Afrocentric thought. And he told you that there were Hebrews that migrated. And don't make me pull up the new video from Infodizzy. Don't make me do it where I can show you where Infodizzy out of his own mouth, when he did a tour in Egypt 2 years ago, he break down the original Hebrews were in Egypt and they were Africans and they migrated into West Africa and now they're known as Igbos. Don't make me do it. Don't make me do that. I'll resurrect your scholars from the dead. So my thing is this, besides Infodizzy, he's still alive. So my point is, let's deal with the work measurement. That's not debate no more. Let's show you what the House of Consciousness has produced. The House of Consciousness produced Mighty Hebrew. The House of Consciousness said that Africa is the apex and the foundation of civilization. So me being born from out of that, I had to prove sa.neter's words to be correct. I had to repatriate back to Africa. I couldn't say I'm a Hebrew Israelite sovereign national, but I'm still living in North Philly. How dumb is that? I can't say that I'm a God, but I'm not building anything as a God. So the House of Consciousness, it was a concept from out of the mind of sa.neter. And then from there, he started to spread that consciousness to different people. And then some people might have took it over here. All platforms on social media are the babies of the House of Consciousness. I was there. And there was nobody on social media with no consciousness but the House of Consciousness. And they was doing 10-minute clippings. You remember that, sa.neter, Elder sa.neter. You put the 10-minute clip up there, and then you got to keep putting up clips. Then they changed it. All the platforms that you see talking about consciousness, they gotta give the elder his flowers now. Nobody did better than Dr. Clark. Yeah. So, and we do need to unite, but what do we unite in? Do we use the same enemy system? This man is trying to take you away from your God sense. I have no problem with the ape and man having a common ancestor. The problem that I have is who y'all saying the common ancestor is. I'm saying that the common ancestor is the emanation from the mind. And as we develop, one went one direction to the right, one went another direction to the left. And it's just that simple. Anything else is theory. We know everything starts with thought. That's not theoretical. Whatever you want to call that thought, the first spark, God, Allah, Jehovah, Buddha, whatever. But we talking about that same spark that the most honorable Elder sa.neter grew up on. With it, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad tell you, Elder sa.neter, in the book Theology of Time, that the original Asiatic black man came out of the way of triple stages of darkness, that he was an atom. And scientifically, the stuff that Elijah Muhammad said, they're proving it today. The difference is Elijah Muhammad understood that first spark to be God materialized in thought from vibration. And the more condensed, the more the vibration started to get slower and slower. This is science. So the difference is, because the white man couldn't see, and there's no disrespect, but he couldn't see himself as being God on earth. He said, there is no God. All the idols and images of the ancient world are worshiping you. They're worshiping you. And they know that when you go to ancient Kemet, ancient Babylon, Assyria, Medo Persia, Lemuria, Patala, wherever you believe in, all the original pantheistic gods, they were all black people. They were black people. So they had to take the God concept from you and say, there is no God. You want to know why? Because there's no you. When you come back on the scene, God come back on the scene. You away from the scene, God is away from the scene. And the more and more they said there is no God, the morality of the people has fallen. Look at the social fabric of America. Your damn Jerry Springers, your Ricky Lakes, what's his name? Not Montel, what's that other guy? Maury. You're not the father. And all this foolishness, they use the media to control and to create a deplorable condition in our community, man. All this, we don't believe in God. A godless society has caused the people to be in the worst condition that they're in. When we believed there was a God, we was in a better position. Morally, ethnically, spiritually, emotionally, psychologically, we was in a better condition. But by y'all saying there is no God now, look at where we at as a people. Look at what we have become. And say I'm lying. They took prayer from out the school that brought guns into the school. You remember coming up, Elder sa.neter, y'all had to pray in school. And I'm not saying that there's a right and wrong when it comes to the God. I'm talking about a moral compass point. Because when you prayed in school, it gave you a focal point. I'm not saying the God is right or wrong. I'm talking about the morality base that it put the mind. It caused the mind to be in somewhat of a lofty state because there was some type of moral compass there. And when they took all these out, the 10 Commandments, everything that will have you in more detail with the self, they took away from us, and now look at us as a people. Look at us, Elder. Look at your mama. Look how holy and sanctified your mama was. My mama, our big mamas, our big papas, right? They had a moral compass with them. But now you're saying there's no God, there's none of that. Look at us now. We have no accountability. No accountability. Let me source up some more. Let's go real quick to, y'all do know who Dr. John Lavelle is. He wrote the book, Black Song, The Forge and the Flame, on pages 31 and 32. We talking about top Afrocentric scholars. This is what they say. If the American white man fancies that he was the first to teach the Bible to his black slave, he is quite mistaken. Mungo Park, as affirmed by Marlon H. Stokely, found that Fantuma, the Catholic schoolmaster, had Arabic versions of the Pentateuch, the Psalms of David and the book of Isaiah. The unlearned Mandinkas entertained him with stories of Joseph and his brethren, Moses, David, and Solomon. They gave out the stories as part of their own folklore and were very much surprised to have learned that white men heard of them. If many slaves already knew a great deal of the Bible, the whole pattern of the origin and development of the background of the spiritual in America will have to be reconsidered. Black Song, The Forge and the Flame, pages 31-32 by Dr. John Lavelle Jr. What are we talking about here? The people of Kemet were black people. The Hebrews were black people. The original people of the East were melanated, not black geopolitically as we are here there in the United States, but these were melanated people. You can't give a civilization to a people. Even watch me step on some toes, son. Even the first Aryans were black. Y'all didn't know that? Y'all didn't know that Max Mueller in 1856 created the Aryan invasion myth? And he even had to expose his hand when he was being called out by East Indian scholars, right? 1856, he created the Aryan invasion myth. Aryan only means noble in Sanskrit. The first noble caste system, they were all black people. Y'all didn't know that? Y'all didn't know that. Y'all didn't know the founders of Buddhism and Brahmanism and all that. They were all black people. So once we start to really deal with these discussions at hand, and then we start to emanate the discussions, like, okay, we believe in this today. How can we build? How do we build generational wealth off of this? And this is for you haters that was striking sa.neter. You see how they were striking you down, sa.neter? You want to know why they were striking you? Because they hate generational wealth. You was thinking of they never sat back and said, damn, let's feed his children and his children's children and his children's. They don't give a fuck. They were striking you down. Excuse me for my language. We talking facts here. They didn't just hit you. They hit your lawns. They hit your lawns. They hitting your children, your children's children. But they all say they advocate for children.
Real talk, brother.
If they advocate for children, why would they tell on you and strike you down or try to strike you down? But you can never strike God down but so long. He always going to rise in the ashes, from the ashes. But the point that I'm saying is, let's talk about generational wealth. How can we help the mighty Hebrew maintain in Africa and build? We should be getting with the mighty, mighty, how can I get some land? Yo, how can I get this? What's the connections that you got? They don't want to talk like that. They want to just keep philosophizing. Because when you philosophize, you can just keep being abstract mentally. But when you want to say, hold up, let's talk concrete now. Let's get down to business. You know what I mean? And that's what I respected about the House of Consciousness, because they was about business and personal for the people. So, y'all struggling that he was selling DVD, like y'all just sound like cold police. He was doing this. Listen, the white man been doing that, taking intellectual property from people. Nobody ain't taking no intellect. If this is all ours, how was he stealing? This is dumb. That's just like if I go do some research on Demona and I put it on YouTube or video on sa.neter, use it and generate money for the House of Consciousness. So what? That's our property. We don't think like that, though. We think individually. So yeah, it's definitely an honor to be here. And sa.neter, don't never deny nobody when it comes to you or Gentile about evolution, because what it is the so-called white man is talking about himself. I would never argue with a white man about him talking about where he come from and his origins. I'm arguing with our people. I'm saying we existed before the so-called white man. We existed when we understand that we came from the gods and that we were the gods. So who changed that narrative? We need to study the anthropological understanding of the people in Africa. And you'll find out that none of them were atheists. None of them. None of them. I don't care if a Hamite, a Shemite, I don't care about none of that. I don't care about none of that. Let's look at the anthropological understanding and the cosmological understanding of the people. And all them people will show. All them people will show that they believed in the higher source. The only ones that saying there isn't no higher source, we can study it socially, are black people in the Western Hemisphere that have been influenced by the slave master. That's a fact. Because if so, why can't we point to any African or Asiatic civilization that didn't believe in this concept of the black man being God? And shout out to Dr. Wesley Muhammad. He wrote this book called The Encyclopedia of the Black Man Being God. And he was showing how different cultures in ancient times all revealed the black man being God. So what would you want to be called, sa.neter? Would you want to be called a primate or God?
Is that a serious question?
It's definitely not a serious question.
No. Here's the answer. Here's the answer to you, brother. See, you can't just stop there and say the black man is God, because in everything there's always a duality in everything. Hot, cold, up, down, good, bad. You know. So if you are God and you accept that, then you have to accept the devil, because you have a higher self and a lower self that exists within you. No, that's real talk. That's real talk, brother. Hold on. You have a higher self and a lower self. Right. A lot of us don't like to admit that, sometimes our devilish instincts come out. Like when they was flagging my turn, that's the demon that was in them, because all they seen was hate. When they seen me, they just seen hate, enviness, and they were jealous. And so that was the demon that came out of them at that time. You see? So in every man, woman, and child on the planet, you have a higher self and you have a lower self. But we just like to stop at God and say, oh, the black man is God. Well, what about when you out there on the street selling dope? What about when you over there smoking weed and smoking cigarettes? Isn't that the demon part of you? What about when you stealing and robbing and sticking up and you got all kinds of shit going through your mind? Isn't that the demon that's in you that you have not mastered yet? So yes, we are God, and we also are the demon, or the devil.
Yo, you're absolutely correct. The black man is also the devil. And me and you done had this discussion.
Not just the black people in general.
No. But right now, I'm only focusing on us. Right now, we got to clean our own backyard up first. I was using the word God, so I can make this clear, I'm speaking loosely. Because if I say Yahweh, right? Because when you say the iron soul with a Kabbalistic mind state, it's neither good or evil, left, right, up, down. It is the absolute, or even beyond the conception of absolute. But I'm speaking to the listening audience. So when I say that the black man is God, I don't mean like just looking at a physical body. I'm talking about the spark of existence within itself. That's God. Or better yet, Yahweh. You're correct. There's duality in everything when this absolute wants to manifest duality, what we also know as polarity. The Chinese called it the yin and yang. Some societies talked about the inverted and the horizontal. Whatever the case may be, if there's a good, there's an evil, in, out, left, right, up, down, king, queen, prince, princess, god, goddess. These are polarities or dimensions within the all in all, okay? The all in all is the true essence and nature of the original black man. And through that, we manifest polarity within the Hebrew culture known as Elohim or Elohim. You have the singular feminine with a masculine plural. When you say Elohim, you're talking about masculine and plural duality, okay? But because I'm speaking to the common listener, I can't talk like that. So for common people, the first spark of existence is you. That is the common ancestor that is being spoken about from our understanding of the ape or the primate and the human. It's consciousness. That is the common ancestor. And as consciousness started to materialize or condense itself more into physical matter, a separation took place. Just like you talk about male and female. In Hebrew, it's known as Zokowa Nikiva, male and female. And at one time, people would label that as asexual, meaning it wasn't male nor female, but had the male and female polarities within the self. And as time developed, you see the story of a rib being taken from Ha'adam. The Hebrew word for rib is zalah, and it's not literally a rib, but it's a feminine principle that resides within the firstborn or the first blood rising with outstretched arms. So now you see it rib, literally the feminine principle within the being that's neither male nor female, but uphold that male and female polarity or dimensions or aspects. And it takes a process of separation that you see, that deep sleep. That deep sleep is esoteric. So when we build it on this level, sa.neter is right if you're talking duality. God and the devil resides within the all. God and the devil are dimensional aspects of the all in all. But the original nature and the original condition of our being as a people is to be lofty. And in that retrospect, it's neither male, female, good, evil, up, down. It just is. And as we develop more physically, then now you see duality. Duality must take shape in the physical realm, in the Ivrit we call the Mohut, from the Azuletic world of existence and pure will to the kingdom of Mohut, which is now the physical form that we take shape today. So yeah, we are the devil. We are God. We're everything in existence and even beyond. Remember I said everything comes from us. Remember I said that the universe comes from us. We don't come from the universe. That's what I mean. We have to reverse everything. When I tell people apes come from man, I'm not talking about man in the physical form that you know today. Remember, man is a Sanskrit word that goes back to the word manu, which means to think. So when I say man, I'm talking about a thought. Y'all think I'm talking about a physical man. No, I'm talking about a thought process from the iron soul. And then from there, you see, and one says, blah, blah, you can't fuck with me. You can come on here right now. I'll decapitate you. You can talk all your science. I'm telling you what our ancestors built on. I ain't got to quote no white man. We existed on the planet before them. How you think the planet been maintaining? We ain't need no so-called white man. Oh, we evolved like this. No, he telling his story. You'll never hear me tell no white man, oh, you didn't evolve from a primate. I say, sure you did. Tell your story. Tell your story. Because if you notice sa.neter, when you look at science today, the so-called white man is telling you psychologically what was going on with him in the cave. Remember, he was going through certain psychological issues in the Ice Age. You know I'm telling the truth. Even we see this with Bradley's book, Iceman Inheritance. And we see it also in Dr. Francis Quest Wilson's book, ISIS paper. We talking about a psychology here. So when you talk about the so-called white man, talking about he came from dissension to ascension, or from a beastly nature into a godly nature, that's totally contrary to those that came before us. When you look at the ancient Kemetic pantheon, they teach that they were the Netters that came from Netzeru. And then they came from ascension to dissension. All Afrocentric, black conscious pantheons all teach that we came from the higher self to the lower self. The so-called white man says he's from the lower self to the higher self, to like a beastly nature. This is why when you see him in the caves in Europe, what he got? The club in his hand. He got the white woman dragging her in the cave. We're talking about something psychological here. So when he talks about he evolved from a beast. He's talking about his psychological condition. You see what I'm saying? That's what we talking about. Look at traditional Afro-Asiatic cultures. They were peaceful, and they were all talking about how to raise consciousness to the state of oneness with their surrounding. We observe through observation. The chief science for different African and Asiatic societies was observation. When you talk about your Gentile societies, for them to learn, they must destroy. They have to dissect the little frog to tell you everything about that frog. With us, we just observe the frog through observation, and from there we learn of the frog.
Mighty Hebrew, I want to say
Yes.
Thank you, brother. I got to roll out. I got to go. I got to roll out. I got to go food shopping, brother. Got to get something to eat. Got to get something to eat. But anyway, brother, thank you. You came in. You had Cedric running and ducking. You was throwing bricks
and
at
what I want to do, set up an interview. My debate has always been, what you believe in, show how your belief help the community.
There you go.
I'm going to show you what I believe in is helping the community, and I'm building off of what I acknowledge.
All right, you got the pseudo killers on the run. That's what I'm talking about. They don't know you are one of the original members of the HOK family. You've been here before most of all of them. Before the Tazorians, before the Zions, before these Hebrews, you was like one of the first ones up in there, you know? So anyway, peace and blessings. Good to see you, my brother. And keep doing the work. If I ain't had nowhere to go this morning, I would have been live with you. But I got Captain Cesario tonight. He will be on the couch. Pause, y'all. He will be on the couch live with me, getting it in at the HOK house. And so we're going to get there. That's why I got to make these get all this out of the way.
Salute to you, Elder sa.neter. Take care of yourself. Shalom, Lord.
Peace. Shalom. We out.
Shalom, shalom.